You show me what you got. I'll tell you where to put it.
I'm pulling them right now because it feels good.
Oh, I mean, Finnan really is a fucking babe. I mean, the accent. Welcome back, Pot Coven, to another episode of Power of Three. Today we have an amazing guest that I'm very excited to introduce to you guys, but we also are missing Jess and Ella. Mercury retrograde hit, like it usually does, and so they weren't able to show up today, but I'm really excited to sit here and get to know Che. So, Che Correa has been a photographer for over 11 years and a practitioner of the craft for even longer. Through photography, she loves to empower women by helping them find the witch within. She's also a fire breather, fire performer, and belly dancer. Che loves to find new and creative ways of self-expression and to create art through movement. Welcome, Che.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So much in your bio is inspiring and thought-provoking. First, I mean, let's just start with the craft. Tell me about like your experience and journey kind of leading up to how you utilize it now in your life.
Well, I guess I should start probably in my upbringing. I was brought up in a very Protestant home, super strict. After a few years of, the usual where your family kind of falls apart and stuff like that, I found the craft and I started my journey. I was 18 when I first started, and I just dove right in. About all of it, I just started like really exploring, all the different traditions, Alexandrian, Gardenian, all the stuff, and I just and then I decided that such a restrictive, I wasn't about rules, I'm just not about that at all. So I started just picking what I thought was what resonated with me, and then I started using that, and what didn't resonate, I just kind of left, so I just kind of started picking and choosing. I practiced for several years, about 10 years, and then, life gets in the way of things. Sometimes I got married, got divorced, all this stuff, and kind of walked away from the path a little bit. But in the last 5-6 years, I have found my way back, and with an energy that's just powerful and just like bringing me. I'm in my 40s now, so I'm just like really experiencing myself and really getting to know myself. And through the journey of the craft, I've really come to know who I am and what my values are. And I've embraced it, honestly. Like I'm all in. So it's one of those things where find it later on in life and you're like, yep, I should have never walked away from this. I shouldn't have let life get in the way of things. I should have always kept my practice. And now I'm more determined than ever to just do that. So
nice. Beautiful. Yeah, I find that happens with a lot of people where they'll be leaning into the practice and then other things take over, life takes over, and you find your way back to it. If it calls out to you at any point in your life, you're usually going to find your way back to it. It's a journey.
Yeah, and it's, it things that needed to happen so I could find my way back. And, I never questioned the way life turns out. It just turned out the way it did. And I'm just happy to be where I am today, in my power, walking, along this earth. And yeah, it's been really good. So
nice. So do you follow a certain type of witchcraft at this point in time, or is there a certain type of magic that you are aligned to?
Well, I honestly am not one for labels, but if I had to put a label on it, I would call myself an eclectic solitary witch. So I have influence from Buddhism. I have other influences from Satanism. I just have like all these different influences that I carry with me. So there's not really one path or one area that I follow. I do perform rituals, which is funny because, again, I'm not about the rules, but I like the ritual. I like the process of like calling the corners and, and asking a deity for help or whatnot, So I do have my ritualistic stuff, but I don't really follow. I just pick whatever suits me, whatever suits me and fits with me at the time. So
Nice, nice. Are there any deities in particular that have worked with over the years? Some certain deities that continue to pop up and are within your specific pantheon.
well, actually, I have just had a switch recently, or I guess
Nice.
I've actually been exploring my ancestors, and because I'm originally from the Caribbean, I have been studying the Taínos a lot, which is the Indians that were actually in the Caribbean and South America, Central America. So I've been like getting to know that and getting to know that pantheon and exploring that, because I feel like, yes, I could connect to an Egyptian pantheon, which I do, and I call on them ever so often, but I feel like connecting to my roots is more powerful. It's more important for me to get to know myself and where I come from as a witch. And so I've been kind of like diving into that and learning the language, which I thought was completely dead. And come to find out, there's actually like a group of people that actually speak the language, which is just so interesting to me. So it's a whole new era that I've kind of been diving into in the last few 6 months. I'm like, I'm just going to explore my roots and go back to that. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And, that's something. So Ella, she is very connected to her ancestors. She's done a lot of ancestor work, and she tries to help other people connect with their ancestors and connect with their lineage, especially because in this world of internet spiritualism and internet witchcraft, it can be very boxed in and a little whitewashed. And for everyone, it's so important to connect back to your roots. I'm incredibly German, my lineage, and learning about Germanic paganism and ruins and all of that has really been so beneficial for me. I probably started that journey in December, but yeah, for anyone listening, this is your signal. Please go study your lineage, because everyone has magic, everyone has ritual, and it's so beneficial to learn about it. So tell us a little bit more about what you have learned from this switch. What deities or sort of magical practices have jumped out to you most?
Well, let's see. There is Jukiju, which is the god of hurricanes.
Nice.
So I've been studying him lately because, of course, being from the Caribbean, we get a lot of hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been studying him, and there's the goddess, which I am blanking on the name, but it's the goddess of fertility. So, and we have Semi, Semi is a small god built out of mud. So our Tainos actually made their own god figurines, and they put them on their altars. So I have actually started to study via YouTube, so helpful, how to make my own and how to add them to my altar and stuff. So it's just been really eye-opening. I have not done any rituals yet where I call on this pantheon. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of understanding it first, studying it. I'm getting to know the language because I want to incorporate that in my rituals. And then once I feel ready that I am going to do it justice, then I'll probably dive in, and implement it into my rituals and into my daily living. But for now, it's just study. It's just really diving in, finding sources from anywhere that I can. The library is actually, and I know a lot of people don't even hit the library anymore. Right. I am one of those people who actually goes to the library and see if I can find resources. And it has been really, really helpful and really eye-opening. And you wouldn't think that in Wisconsin you would find resources, but if you look hard enough, I'm sure you can find it. So it's been really an interesting journey. And not only are there Tainos, but there's also, there's Black influence, because we did have the slave trade was also pretty big in the Caribbean. And we also have Spaniards. So we are a mix of three, right? So right. I am choosing to explore all three, but connect mostly to one. So I was kind of studying hoodoo and voodoo for a little bit, but honestly, I feel my calling more towards the Taino side of things. So doesn't mean that I won't in the future, but for now, right. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think that is a little known requirement of being a witch is you kind of also have to be a little bit of a nerd because it does take a
Yeah.
lot of research.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree. And, you know, all these divinities that are available to us, like tarot and like palmistry, and all those interest me very much. And it is sitting with a book. And I am very studious, which I never was like really good student in like actual school. I never cared. But when it's subjects that really, really interest me, I hours on end. I skip lunch. I just forget to sleep. I dive into the books, pen and paper next to me, and I just write and I just study it, which is it just makes me so happy.
Amen. Yeah, I am the same. I was taking notes, astrology notes on my boyfriend's porch, and one of his roommates came out and he looked down and he was like, I bet you did well in school. And I was like, believe it or not, I was an underachiever for sure. Because yeah, if a subject doesn't really hold my interest, I'm not really going to give it that much time and attention. But when I'm very interested in something, it gets damn near all of my time and attention.
Yeah. And it's important. That's why it's important to like probably know yourself a little bit better, especially when you're going through growing pains, you know.
Mhm.
That way you'll go to school if you want to go to school for something that really interests you. And it's when I actually finished school. I went to school for photography for about and graphic design, which you know, my mom was super surprised because she's like, "Oh my God, you are like getting straight A's." And I'm like, "I love the subject. The subject is super interesting to me." So of
Right.
course, I dive right in. And when I was literally forced to go to college the first time 20 years ago, it wasn't for anything that I was interested in. So, of course, I flunked out after 3 years. I partied pretty hard. Um, you know, and I realized I was like, yeah, of course, if it's a subject that really interests you, that you want to learn more about, you're going to dive in and put more of your time and effort. So now I'm a teacher. I actually do instruct students on photography. I teach at the college I graduated from. Um, but of course, I know for a fact the minute they walk in, I'm like, you're not interested. You're not interested, you know. And it's just,
Right.
then you know who to really, you know, pour your attention and like help out the students that are really interested in the subject. So if you're listening, if you're really interested, you will give it 110% guaranteed.
Right. Right. Well, and the way you mentioned that it when the students are there in front of you, like it's an energetic thing. You know who's showing up with the energy that's like, I'm excited, I'm ready to learn, and who's like, I am here to go to school.
Right. And go through the motions and
Hmm.
maybe they haven't figured out what they want yet. And that's fine. Everybody's got their journey, but also it's expensive. Expensive.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I think they definitely have, in other countries where they have the gap year, where students are encouraged to take a year off between, um, school and college.
Mhm.
Well, I was going to say senior year, but in other countries they don't do it exactly the same as us. But it's
Mhm.
ooh, I kicked my computer. It's a very common thing to travel. And, what does traveling do? It really helps us get to know ourselves on a deep level. So it is interesting to have teenagers, these kids, most of us
Mhm.
are 18 when we go to college here in the States. And yeah, most people don't know what they want to do. I mean, I wasn't taking classes on spirituality. I don't know if my school had any, but
Yeah.
you
And taking a year off, oh my gosh. I talk to my nieces and nephew now, and I'm like, dude, if you can take a year off, do it. Do
know.
it. Go out there, figure out what it is you like, what it is you want to do. Because if you really study your passion and if you really like make your passion your daily living, like you will never actually like work. It'll always be fun. It'll always
Right.
be. So I think that's the trick to life. A lot of people don't get to know what they really want to do and what really inspires them to go into work every day. I'm lucky enough that I'm a photographer for a living and I love photography, so I lucked out there. But if I had studied photography and I had to like, I don't know, be on a phone all day long talking to customers all day, I don't, it's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I after college worked a job that I thought I wanted for a couple years, and I was like, man, this is not it. this is not it. I can't sit at a desk. I can't do what I'm doing. And then I traveled the world for a year and some change. And then shortly after, I started, doing what I do for a living, tarot readings and astrology readings, numerology readings, and,
That's amazing. I am learning tarot, and I'm so intrigued by it. I'm so taken aback by, I am addicted to buying decks. Oh my God.
Well, they're so pretty.
They are so pretty. And illustrations just get me every single time, And it's okay. It's money well spent. I'm investing on myself. So who cares, right?
Right.
But yes, I have like 12 of them now.
You got me beat.
So many. They're all my babies, though. They're all my babies.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, but witchcraft is fun. It's a great topic. I love learning more about it. And there's so much out there. There's so much to learn.
Yes. That's the thing. Because I am a nerd, and the fact that there's so much more to learn, and I haven't yet learned it all, and I'm probably never going to learn it all throughout my years, that excites me. That's fun. You're never going to reach the bottom, right?
Right. Agreed.
This episode of the Power Through podcast has been brought to you by BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is an online platform with licensed therapists who are ready to help you wherever you might exist across the multiverse. Now, you must be 18 years or older to use this service, and BetterHelp is not a crisis line, but you can start communicating with someone within 24 hours. They have financial aid available to qualifying individuals. This is a secure, convenient, and affordable platform for your counseling services. Use the URL betterhelp.com/witchy to get your first week free.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked at-home health testing system. Let's Get Checked is all about personal health testing, making healthcare and health screening open and patient-led, empowering people to use technology in a simple but powerful way, and giving greater control to their personal health. They have a range of tests, including STD testing across all genders, fertility tests, celiac tests, general wellness, and more. Use the code WITCHY on letsgetchecked.com at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
So I'd love to talk about photography. So you've been a photographer for 11 years now. Tell us a bit more about your journey with that and your process, because I've been following you for quite a while, because of course I love your imagery. You are the witchy photographer. So tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I started photography, when I was a little girl, I always thought about photography, but I was never, I never had any money to actually invest in photography. And now that it's digital, it's made a lot more affordable for people. So I started learning when I was working my big ass corporate job down in Phoenix. And once I found photography, it was like a method of artistic expression that I've never thought of before, that I've never actually experienced before. So I left my job, I quit my job, I packed up my bags, I moved to Wisconsin, and I started going to school. And I never wanted to do anything, it's just, gosh, I make things difficult for myself. I'd never wanted to just do the basic stuff that people do. I never just wanted to be a portrait photographer. I never just wanted to do families, weddings, all that stuff. That just to me is not where my heart lies. I'm an artist. I want to do conceptual photography. I want to express myself and have my subject be part of the piece of art that we're making. So I started once I got back into my journey with the spirituality, I'm like, man, I love these two things so much. I'm finding myself stronger in my power as a witch. I'm like, why don't I help women or men? Because we all know that, find their power, see themselves, because it's hard to see yourself sometimes as a witch, because you're just looking in the mirror and you're like, am I really, do I really have this power within me to change my life or manifest things or whatever the case may be? And yes, you do. Absolutely. Everybody does. So through imagery, I was able to start taking pictures of people and making art for myself first, and then it kind of caught on. People are like, oh, I want you to photograph me like that. And I'm like, that's great. Let's do it. Let's get you some, some items that you feel comfortable with. And my last shoot on Sunday, I had my very good friend Mary Kate, which is actually, this is one of the biggest methods I've ever used to meet people and connect with people. Mary Kate from Madison, she's an amazing human. I love her soul. The minute I met her, I was like, you are energy, you're light. That's great. Let's do this. She brought her runes with her. She brought, her tarot cards with her. And I was just like, this is everything that I've ever wanted to do. I want to meet witches, and I want to talk to them, and I want to make their images. And it's not me making them into something that they're not. These people, they stand in their power. So they just come to me already ready to go and just show the world, how they view themselves truly. So it's been really, really awesome. The last few weeks, I've actually started a project, and I've had a decent response from people that just want to meet up and have their portrait taken. So it's been really awesome to see all these beautiful women and men with their families just come out and be like, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I believe. And you can't tell me otherwise, or, put me down because of what I believe and what I choose to use as my journey spiritually. So it's been really fun. And I do have a lot of props because I collect. I don't use any of my personal, obviously ritual stuff, but because everything's consecrated. But I do ask people that to bring their own stuff if they feel like it. I do have some other stuff that's not consecrated that people can use if they want to. A lot of bones. I'm a of collecting skulls and jawbones and all kinds of things. So whenever anybody finds anything on the road, they hit me up and they're like, hey, I have a deer, especially here, I have a deer skull. Would you like it? And I'm like, yes, I'll come pick it up. My car has suffered many smells of dead things inside of it, but that's okay. It's okay. We get through. So
I'm sitting here wondering where you have Scorpio in your chart. Are you familiar with your astrological chart?
I bought a book called The Signs or something like that. And I've started studying my chart. I have a picture of it, but I don't remember. With Cancer. So I know that I have Scorpio in there. I just don't know exactly where.
Right.
But it's been really an awesome journey. I really want to do more of it, and I'm going to Washington next week, so I'm hoping to meet up with some witches there and grab some photos and talk to some people, and so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing thing you've set up for yourself, where you get to create art, but also meet other like-minded people and create art with them. And just listening to you talk it about the experience, it sounds like a lot of what you do is just help them see how powerful they are, because that is, I mean, that's my definition of a witch, is someone who recognizes themselves as powerful,
Right.
and that's kind of like this gift you give them. Of course, you guys work together, they're a part of the art, but yeah, just images are so powerful to see yourself portrayed as this powerful, beautiful witch is, I mean, it's amazing.
And I just feel like a lot of people, especially this year is trash. Let's just toss it in the it's trash. But I've seen so many people, because they're depressed, they're at home, they don't do much. And we observe social distancing and all that stuff. I have an assistant that comes out with me, and we wear masks and all that. And sometimes I forget, but I try to. And to see people, have an hour of just being in the woods, first and foremost, connecting with nature again. And just posing and having all your favorite things surround you, and you just, it's really a good time. And I find it to be not only healing for them and to feel themselves a little bit like themselves after this year, but also for me, because I'm like, man, you are beautiful. You are a beautiful human. Your light shines right through, and it's nice to get to know people that are different than you but believe the same things that you do, and to connect with them. I'm all about connection. The energy that we interchange when we meet someone, and as you and I are sitting here talking, we're exchanging energy, even though we're still, and that energy is so powerful. I believe in human connection. Like, it's super important. You don't connect to everyone, and you connect with people on different levels, but yet there's always a connection there. So whether you choose to nurture it or not, that's up to the people, right? But I feel like it's important to have that in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I could just tell from other things you've said so far. I was going to actually point it out to you next, but you must have been feeling the energy. You knew it, because I was going to say, like, you seem like an energy worker. Like, energy plays a really important role in your life and what you do. Like, that's obvious from the way that you speak. Energy plays a really important role. I mean, like, technically energy does play a really important role for everyone, whether they're conscious of it or not. But for you, it's a conscious tool.
Oh yeah. And I feel they say that it's a blessing and a curse, right? To feel everything.
Right.
But I do feel everything. I do. And it's why I've been such a kind of like a homebody this year, because of the energies that are out there. And I still have to go to work, every day. But I really crave that connection to other people. And then when I'm done with that, I shut it off, and then I come home and I connect with my loved ones, But energy is super important to me. It's super important. It's everything. Energy from the earth, energy from plants, animals, everything. And I was talking to my niece the other day, and she was asking me about connection. I don't have any kids, and that's fine. I don't want any kids. But my nieces and nephews are like, they get to come to me and talk to me about stuff that they don't talk to their parents about, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So she asked me about connection, and I told her, I said, you dig your feet into the earth, go outside, no shoes on, dig your feet in, dig your hands into the earth, and thank Mother for giving us everything that she gives us, and that's the way that you connect. Meditation, really feel the texture of the earth, really feel the blades of grass, just really connect to trees. And she was just like, and of course, then she asked me like, oh, what about a special friend? Oh, okay, I know where you're going with this. So then we got into those connections, and I just feel like through connection is where we can communicate with each other, we can talk to each other, we can resolve problems through connections. It's super important. So.
Right. And recognizing that we are all connected, especially being from the US and living here, there is this emphasis on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely within the spiritual community and the witchcraft community, like, we know we're all connected, we're all energy. We're all coming from the same exploded stars, we are all the same atoms that are just moving around between everyone. And so, yeah, the practice of grounding through just like getting in the dirt, that's definitely something that I do and that I share as well. It's so important to feel. I like that you brought up like feeling the blades of grass, feeling all of those things, because we kind of take for granted that sense sometimes. Like, of course, touch, we feel that all the time, but because we feel it all the time, sometimes it's so good. Especially, I'm an anxious person, so when you're feeling anxious, it can be really good to be like, how can I feel all my clothes on me right now? Just bringing that to that really still, centered, present place of feeling and just recognizing, what's going on around you.
Right. Yeah. It's a good thing that you bring up anxiety, because I suffer from general anxiety and social anxiety. And that's really a good way, when I'm feeling like I'm on the verge of a panic attack, is to break it down to the very basics, and touch is I am, naturally very touchy-feely. Is that a thing? But very touchy-feely. I love to touch. I love to feel things. And to do that and to center yourself and touch either earth or blankets or whatever the case may be, your clothes, your skin, It's very grounding for me. It helps me tremendously to break everything down. I may not have control of the situation or anything that's happening right now, but I have control of what I feel, how I feel, how I process it. So that helps me out a lot. So yeah, it's always good to just I don't know, I just feel so much sometimes. So much. You know, always looking to process it and to make myself better friend, a better partner, you know, through those methods of like feeling and touching and processing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm on the same side.
Let me know, girl, because I sometimes, you know, I just go on and on and on. But you get what I'm saying.
This is a safe space for tangents for sure. So I wanted to ask, are you an introvert or an extrovert? How do you relate to those kinds of labels? I know you said you don't like labels, but
extrovert with introvert tendencies. So as I've gotten older, I feel more protective of my energy. So I am definitely a chatterbox. I am definitely outgoing, but I have learned to be a little bit more reserved as I've gotten older. So I do tend to I love my alone time. I love my alone time, and I love to just sit and drink my cup of tea in the porch or wherever, and just you know, may not always be silent, but sometimes I'll have music on, but just time for myself, you know, because all those energies do, you know, they get in you, and you just have to kind of cleanse it out, and you have to feel yourself again. So yeah, I was a social butterfly in my early 20s, and as I've gotten older, I love my sacred space. My house is like my safe zone, so I love to be home. And I've just really understood what it is like to have those introvert tendencies, and I do appreciate them and very much. It saves me, you know, it saves me sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, you know, bringing it back to energy. You know, like you said, you need time to cleanse it and time to process and just to sit with yourself. That's an important part of being a witch as well, is making sure you do have some time to sit with yourself, even if you are an extrovert and you get energy around other people, you know, still making time like, okay, now let me reflect upon that and analyze that and understand all the stuff that I just took in.
Right. And at that same breath, when you're sitting with yourself and when you are, you know, kind of going over your day, I've been doing a lot of shadow work lately. So I've been doing a lot of introspective questioning, why I do the things I do, why I think the way I think, and kind of dealing with those thoughts that are not, you know, we're light and darkness, right? But a lot of people don't like to acknowledge their darkness. Last year it was all dark for me, and the last year was a tough year for me. So I did a lot of shadow work. I was like, I gotta figure this out. Why am I this way? Why am I acting this way? Why do these thoughts come to mind, you know, with the anxiety and everything? And sitting there and reflecting and sitting with myself and being by myself was one of the ways that I got to know myself better and my shadow side better. So now I can, you know, it's all a work in progress. I'm never going to, you know, finish doing that. But I can say that I know myself better and that I know how I'm going to react to situations that may, you know, not be as beneficial for me. So it's always good. It's always good to sit with yourself and get to know yourself and look into that shadow area that you may not be so keen to look into, you know. So yeah, but it's always good.
Yeah, there's a reason we call it shadow work, you know. We rarely are looking at our shadow. It's right there behind us, a part of us, and we don't give it the time of day. We don't give it illumination a lot. So I'm currently coaching a couple witches to, you know, just invest in their own personal power and to really just step into their own as witches. And so I had a couple one-on-one calls today, and actually all we've been talking about is shadow work, because that's been the theme for the week. So I love that you brought that up. And I love shadow work, and it's a phrase and a practice that's like often talked about within the community, but it's one that like no one ever really sits down and like I found that younger witches, who are newer to the practice, don't know what it is and aren't really sure about it. And it's this interesting thing, much like the shadow, it's kind of just like darting around. So I would love to hear like your description of what shadow work is and the ways in which you practice it.
Well, because I'm an anxious human and because there's all this energy, I started looking into shadow work after my breakup last year. I was in a 9-year relationship and we ended things amicably. And then I kind of got a little lost and started chasing after things that weren't meant for me. And it was a really like stark realization. I'm like, okay, so there is this need for me to be with someone. I can't be by myself. Why can I be by myself? Is there something there that I am trying to avoid? And I took the time to just really dig in and be like, all right, why can I be by myself? I mean, I've been a serial monogamist for 20 years. Why is it so difficult for me to be alone? And I did a lot of crying. Oh, a lot of soul searching. A lot of writing. I tend to journal when it was difficult things I can't get out of my mind. So I would write, just scribble things down and just like really practice on like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Explore my feelings. Why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling unloved? Why am I not, doing more self-care, practicing more self-love? Why am I just looking to pour my heart and soul into something else? So after I did a lot of crying, a lot of, journaling, a lot of trying to figure myself out, I put myself first and I said, okay, so this is going to be my year. I'm just going to do my stuff and focus on me. And I did that for a few months. And then the universe was like, oh, okay, I see you, bitch. I see you working. I see you working. And when I had given up and I was like, I'm not going to be with anyone, the universe was like, well, I got other plans for you, And I met one, and because I took the time to get to know myself, I know how to handle situations better now. And again, it's still a work in progress. I'm never going to be done with shadow work because things, as you get older, you change, people change and develop over time. So, but I feel more equipped and better about myself. I feel like I like myself a lot more, which is nice. And it's been the happiest I have ever like I know this year has been so terrible for so many people, but for me personally, it's been one of like true contentment. I am just happy. I am good. I am, and it's been really nice. It's been really nice. So that's why shadow work is super important, because in the end, you'll get to just deal with situations better. You'll get to know how you'll react to things better, and not people let people take your energy, or anything for that matter, any situation. You'll be able to keep yourself centered and guide yourself through murky waters with less difficulty. Not fully like there's still difficulty there, but you are more equipped to handle it, which is so great. So.
Yeah, it's about really getting to know yourself, getting to know these parts of yourself. And it's your shadow side. And what I found really interesting with this work is, yes, getting to the root of the issue. So like with you, getting to the root of, okay, why am I chasing another relationship? Why do I feel like I need to be with someone? And exploring that question until you kind of get to that root cause, and understanding that fear and understanding that drive and need and how it manifests in your life. But yeah, I'm very interested in noticing the ways in which they manifest in our life, like this is like the tip of the iceberg stuff, right? That's kind of what shadow work is like. You see the tip of the iceberg, and then the shadow work is all the way down there at the bottom, figuring out all that stuff. I also really enjoyed that the thought has left my mind. What was it? That you brought up that the shadow work never ends, you know? It's not that we are just these broken little creatures that could never be fixed. It's not that, you know? It's the fact that we are constantly changing. We're constantly evolving. We're moving places. We're meeting new people. We're getting older. We're learning new things, you know? And so we're going to continually come across stuff that we have to look at and examine and seek to understand. I think that's a big thing about it. Just like not being afraid of those things that pop up, you know, but just giving it the time and attention to be like, where are you coming from, baby? Where do you come from? What do you actually need from me? What do we actually need and want? Right. And yeah, boy, once you start just giving yourself all that love and you are totally satisfied being your own partner romantically and being your own best friend and all that stuff, then the universe always provides you with a partner.
Really amazing. Like I can't even begin to explain. I used social media last year as a tool to help me get stuff out that, you know, was in me that I didn't know how to deal with. So you can tell, like, my friends on social media were like, God, you're just having the worst year ever. And I was like, dude, this is seriously fucked up. And then, you know, the minute I let go of how I wanted things to go, that control, you know, I want things to, and yeah, you manifest things and that's great. And I manifested my current partner. Let me tell you how it's ridiculous, to the very, like, the list I made, to the very details. Like, I made him up in a computer. Mm-hmm. I kid you not. But the minute I let go and I said, you know what? These are the things I want. I'm not going to settle for less, first and foremost. I am going to focus on me. I'm going to do the things I want to do. I'm going to really appreciate myself, get to know myself. That's the minute, you know, like, I think like 3 months later, the universe was like, good job. This is what I wanted you to learn. This is the lesson I wanted you. And it's not that I'm going to stop now that I have a partner. You know, I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm still doing shadow work. You know, I'm still dealing with myself on a daily basis. I'm still dealing with situations that arise, whether it's work, whether it's just, you know, whatever, life. And I'm still examining myself and going, okay, why are you reacting? Why is it getting to you, first and foremost? Why are you reacting this way? So it's good to know that the universe does compensate you for work done, work that you've done on yourself. It does say, hey, you've been a good human. You've explored yourself. You've gotten to know yourself. Let me reward you with something. And we think that it doesn't happen, but it does. It really does. So it's really awesome. The universe has got your back.
Yeah, the universe responds to you, right? The universe interacts with you. I mean, we are the universe experiencing itself. So the universe responds to you, and the more you put in the work, the more the universe is like, oh, okay, all right, well, here it is. Here's everything you've been working on.
Right.
Here it is in your life. And you know that sometimes that works to scare people. If I'm constantly worrying, if I'm constantly scared, then I'm just going to manifest that into my life. And while, you know, there is some validity in that, it's like, we are allowed to have bad feelings, you know, we're allowed to go through those tough times. And yes, we might interact with people and circumstances that kind of reflect that energy. But, you know, you've mentioned it before, like, this is a lesson. This is a lesson here. There's always a lesson to be learned. There's always more analyzing to do, more thinking to do, more self-understanding to do. That's the work. That is the work.
This Power of 3 episode has been brought to you by Tonic Vibe CBD products. Tonic's original CBD blends are handcrafted in small batches with purposeful plant-based ingredients. Using herbs like ashwagandha and superfoods like black seed oil, Tonic elevates the benefits of CBD to create a powerful way to heal the body, calm the mind, and restore balance. Their hemp-derived CBD and botanical blends create a completely holistic method to help you feel your best and #FixYourVibe. Use code WITCHY at tonicvibes.com for 10% off your order.
This episode of the Power of Three podcast is brought to you by Shock Rubs, because sex is magic. Shock Rubs is the first crystal sex toy company. Their sex toys are made from natural crystals that bring a sense of sacredness to your playtime. These beautiful handcrafted tools are created with the intention of opening oneself up to the healing properties that crystals provide. All toys are body safe, made from the earth, and provided with love. They create harmony in mind, body, and spirit, remove blocks caused by sexual trauma, create deeper intimacy with the self and with your partner, and even encourage self-awareness and mindfulness. So use the code WITCHYWISDOM on shockrubs.com at checkout for 10% off your purchase today. So I would love to hear about your experience with fire breathing and fire dancing and belly dancing. I want to know all about that.
Oh my God. It's been so fun. I started fire breathing last year. I went to a festival, or a flow festival called Campfire in Minnesota. And I was actually working as a photographer, so I was taking pictures, but I decided, I was like, I'm going to take some classes and figure out what I like. So I started taking some classes, and one of them was fire breathing. And I took the class, and at the end of the class, they were like, okay, well, who wants to partake and start their journey? And I was like, oh man, I don't know. And I saw a couple of people go, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this. I can't be afraid. Fear be damned. I got to try this out and see how it works. And I tried it, and the minute I tried it, I was hooked. I'm like, this is amazing. It's a powerful feeling. You are just so much fire. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this for a living. Like, I want to incorporate all of this into, I have multiple practices. I practice animal flow yoga. I practice with fans and flow, in every way and shape or form that I can get flow into my life, right? So after I started doing that, I started practicing at home, and I started having people over to play with their props and their fires and all that stuff. And after a while, I felt really comfortable with it, and I got asked to be part of a troupe here in the Fox Valley, and we've been performing for I've been performing for 6 months, and it's just something that I really, really want to do for the rest of my life. I have gotten burned. I burned my hair recently. My dreads went up in flames a little bit on my left side of my head. As I was breathing air, the wind came back and just blew it. I've burned my face, but I think it's just such a wonderful art and so beautiful, and it can be so, inspiring and awe. Just, people just go, oh my gosh, what are you doing? That it just really, I don't know. I love doing it. It's something that really helps me be brave and go out there and just pour some stuff into my mouth and light it on fire. I mean, it's just so weird. My family's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's super fun. I've been trained to do it. I have taken multiple classes on it. I am safe when I do it. There's a whole bunch of safety restrictions. I always have someone with me who's looking out for me, so I try to be as safe as possible, but also taking that risk of breathing fire. And I'm finding it, I'm going to interject it into my practice. I think I'm going to weave it in there somehow. I find that everything I do with fire, whether it's with a prop or, fire breathing, I want to find a connection through it, because it's such an old practice, such an old ritual. Through it, I want to find connection to the earth, to the universe in some way, shape, or form. So right now I'm kind of meditating on that. I'm kind of trying to figure out, how can I make this process, this practice that is so just amazing and brutal in the same way, how can I find peace and flow through it and let it flow through me, and just and have a moment of zen while I'm doing it? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But it's so much fun. It's so much fun to do. I don't think I'm going to be 80 years old and probably still breathing fire. I don't know. We'll see.
I can't wait to see it, you know? Like, how inspiring would that be to just see an 80-year-old woman fire breathing, you know? That's a vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a vibe.
Yeah, and I have tons of friends who are like, you know, super well versed on it. And I always ask questions, and it's a practice, just like any other, you know, any other hobby that you would have. And it takes study, it takes practice. So yeah, I'm just really enjoying it right now. I'm really looking forward. We're actually, when we go to Washington next week, we're planning on like stopping at the Badlands and doing a photo shoot there, and Mount Rushmore, anywhere that we can, where we don't hurt people. I'm gonna fire breathe everywhere that I can. So it's gonna be super fun.
Just fire breathing all over the country.
All over.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense as well that you would be, you know, sitting with this idea of how do I incorporate it into my practice, into my craft, into, you know, magic, because I mean, fire is magic, you know, and it connects us to our like primal selves. It connects us to our basic self, root chakra, like all of that, you know, wands energy from tarot. It's about energy, you know, connecting that energy. So I've never personally done it, and I definitely I've gotten over a lot of it in my life, but was a scaredy cat for so long. So now I'd probably be like, sure, let's do it, but I would definitely catch my hair on fire. That would be
one time that I actually caught my dreads. It was really funny because I was trying to figure out how to wear my hair when I perform. And I have, you know, super, super long dreads that go down like to my knees. So here I am trying to figure out how do I wear my hair that I don't catch it on fire. And as I'm making this video, the wind comes back and just like nips me right on the side of my head. And I pat it out and I go, oh, well, that's not how I'm wearing my hair. I'm not wearing it that way. So then I've caught my lips a couple of times, and it's just, you take it all. We call it a dragon's kiss. Whenever the fire comes back, and it just, you know, it just gives you kisses here and there. You know, you're just, well, you know, the dragon's just kissing me. That's okay. I'll take the love. I don't mind it. I will nurture it back to health. Because it is a fiery kiss.
It's so cute and so whimsical. I love it. Like, oh, just the dragon's kiss. It's fine. It's fine.
I burned my lashes the first time. I burned my lashes right off my face, and you could see it in the video as the fire comes back and just touches my eye. I'm wearing glasses and everything, but it just kind of got under, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't need my lashes right now. They will grow back. It's just my first dragon's kiss. It'll be okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely takes some bravery and, you know, takes some courage and passion. And, you know, I imagine that's really fun to tap into. There's a lot of different ways to tap into that kind of energy, specifically just that very, like primitive, kind of dangerous energy. But, you know, you're such an artist as well. So then being able to do it in this way and facilitate this energy in this type of way, like it makes a lot of sense that you would be drawn to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am. And it's something that I've only done it for a year, so I'm still very, very new. I'm still working on a lot of things. I can do, of course, fireballs, but there is a practice where you actually regulate the amount of fuel that's coming out of your mouth, and you maintain the flame, and some people even make it small and then make it big. I mean, there is so much out there. I did some fire eating as well, but fire eating, between the two, fire eating is, I find I'm less connected to it as of this point. But eventually I would like to, you know, dive in. I'm just taking it one at a time. So fire breathing is where I'm at. I use fans, and incorporate that with my belly dancing, because a lot of belly dancers do use fans on fire and stuff. So I'm just kind of, everything is connected. Everything that I do, like all the practices kind of flow together, which is really cool. So now I'm just dedicating time to fire breathing, and then maybe in the next few years, I would like to add some sword swallowing to the mix, and possibly some fire eating, but it's a big possibly because there's a lot of risks there that I'm not sure I'm willing to take just yet.
Right. Inviting both of those into your mouth is, that's an intense practice. I'm sure that needs a lot of training to do it safely. Yeah. I used to teach a modern dance class here where I live in California at a belly dancing studio, and I performed in one of their shows, and they did fire dancing and belly dancing and all of that, and it was so gorgeous to watch all the different tools and everything. It was of course outside, couldn't perform that one in the studio. Can't be lighting stuff on fire inside. But really beautiful art form. So that's so fun. And, like you said, there's so much more still to learn, so much more still to do. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy every step of the process along the way.
Here's hoping. We'll see. I know that, I want to explore it more. I'm being very careful as I do it. I'm, hoping that there is not something in my future that would deter me from continuing the practice. So I'm very, attentive about safety. You have to be careful. And a lot of people will try. There's different methods of doing it, and will try it on their own. And I'm just like, why would you put yourself on that risk without proper training, or without, just at least knowing the basics? It doesn't even have to be like, just knowing the basics could help you out a lot. I'm not that kind of risk taker. I'm the kind of risk taker who is more precise, and wants to do things right, because I love processes. That's the right side of my brain. So I actually taught my boyfriend how to fire breathe as well, in our backyard. So we're planning on doing some really cool stuff as a duo in the next coming years. So we'll see what happens. But my plan is to eventually travel all over the U.S., fire breathing, fire performing, and doing photo shoots here and there, and living sustainably through the art forms. So we'll see what happens.
I'm here for that vision. I'm here for that goal. I believe in it. I want to see it.
Manifesting every day.
Mm-hmm. So tell all of our listeners where to find you, where to get in contact with you.
Well, I recently changed my IG handle. So you can find me on Instagram at Calypso_firewitch. Calypso is my performance name. You can find me on Facebook. I have my photography page, which is Che Correa Photography, and I also have my Calypso page, which is my performance page, which is Calypso Dragon Witch. So you can totally find me there. Otherwise, those are the main two social media networks that I use. I'm not on TikTok or anything like that. I find that if I spread myself too thin, then I'm not paying really attention to the mediums that I want to kind of explore. So Instagram is definitely my primary place where you can find me. So if you are out there and you want to check out what I'm doing, and I love to share some rituals sometimes for new moons and like full moons and stuff. So I do, again, incorporate a lot of the witchcraft and a lot of belly dancing and a lot of like performance stuff. So I'm out there just doing my thing and hoping that people will share their thing with me too. So
yeah, guys, definitely give Che a follow. I love your page. I love your art. Definitely worth the follow. And I've loved talking with you today. Definitely bummed that Ella and Jess weren't able to make it. So I feel like that means that we should definitely do this again at some point so you can meet them.
So down for that. Absolutely. Whenever you guys want. I'm not, I study a lot, but I'm very intuitive in my practices. So I just kind of like, I may not have a lot of like knowledge of like astrology is something I'm getting into right now. But there's a lot of things that I don't know yet. But I definitely go by feel. How I feel, I try to express myself, even though English is my second language. I try to express myself cohesively so people understand me. But if I ramble on and on, well, forgive me. It's just I guess how I am.
Well, I love it. I love your energy. I've loved having you on the podcast today. So yeah, definitely give Che a follow, and I'm sure you'll be back soon.
Well, thank you again for having me and for reaching out. I listen to your podcast now, and I am an avid, like, believe me, like, you guys do such a good job. That Retrograde special, like, podcast that you had, I listened to that like 3 times. I was like, there's so much information here, and I just was like, oh, these ladies know what they're talking about. They know. And I was like, I am forever a listener for sure. You got me.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're able to be a part of it now with us as well. All right, listeners, you know where to find us. On Instagram, we are Power of 3 Podcast, and we've got a link in our bio that connects you to our Facebook group, to our Patreon. And if you have any questions at all, comments, concerns, donations, you can email us at powerof3witchpodcast@gmail.com. All right, guys, catch you on the flip side. Bye.